which primarily is a one-stop shop. We do all county benefits, state benefits, and federal benefits. So got to know all the regs between Title 38 to Title 51 at the state and the county code, obviously. One of the big things that we do at the county level is record military discharges. For those veterans who are getting out of the service, they'll bring in their original DD Form 214 and we'll get that document recorded. That's very important because that document is the document that gives you all your benefits, whether it's enrolling in healthcare at the VA Medical Center, burial at the National Cemetery, submitting claims for education, service-connected disabilities. We had those documents going back to the Civil War where the courthouse was recording those documents. Now, unfortunately, they're not open to the public, especially with the documents today where they show name, date of birth, social security numbers, etc. With anyone in the service today, your serial number is your social. So that's one of the big things that we do is record military. Something else that we do is provide the metal war markers for the private cemeteries. And every Memorial Day in May, we've also provide all the flags for the county as well. And right now we get about 11,000 flags that go out to all the cemeteries within the county. And the primary task of those is the American Legions come in and they have designated cemeteries within their townships or municipalities, and they place all these flags out there. So those flags come from my office, as well as all the replacement metal markers as well that from time to time seem to grow legs and walk off the cemetery somehow. So those metal markers are free. They can come back in, get those documents at any time. Those do walk off. So those are a couple of the big county benefits. The other big county benefit is that the county pays $100 towards the burial expenses of every deceased war veteran, and then subsequently the spouse of a war veteran, the county pays $100 towards the burial expenses. And currently we have a budget of about $38,000 that the county gives out. So, albeit a small stipend of $100, ultimately we wind up giving out around $38,000 a year. I probably got one of the smallest budgets in the county currently. It's like $52,000 is my annual budget for markers, flags, burial allowance, and other incidentals. Something else on the state level, benefit-wise, we have there's various benefits. The property tax exemption is very popular for those veterans with wartime service and 100% disability. Unfortunately, the municipality's got to absorb that cost of that veteran not paying their property taxes. In order to qualify, the veteran does have to be 100% service-connected disabled, wartime dates of service, and the veteran's income below $85,000 per year. That's the state's threshold for financial need. You might want to think that's kind of high. I do as well, $85,000, but that's the level. If you have $85,000 or less in income as a veteran, single or married, you can get approved for property tax exemption. They also have a paralyzed veterans pension, a blind veterans pension. Veterans from Pennsylvania join from Pennsylvania, and as a result of their military service or loss of use or missing, a loss of use of limbs, two or more limbs, can receive a pension from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for the rest of their lives as well. That pension amount is $150 a month for the veteran, and also whether it's paralyzed or blind, it's $150 a month. I'll just give you some quick numbers via the monies that come in from the federal VA to Lebanon County. Right now, looking at the demographics from last year, the federal VA says Lebanon County has approximately 11,900 veterans in Lebanon County. Now those veterans, they don't count the National Guard because they don't qualify for federal VA benefits because they're under something called Title 32, under the governor's controls. They have to be under Title 10, the federal government, the federal VA, active duty, in order to qualify for benefits for National Cemetery VA healthcare. So the VA can only look at and count those guys and gals that are Title 10. If those folks in the National Guard were to be called up to active duty, like the Stryker Brigade was several years back, and then do their 1 year active duty and get off of active duty, they now have federal benefits. Because they'll have a DD Form 214, which put them on Title 10. So of those 12,000 veterans roughly that are in Lebanon County today, of that, those veterans are receiving something called compensation and pension, which is injuries from the military service or their low-income veterans. And currently the VA is paying approximately $31 million annually to Lebanon County for those veterans with military injuries. So that's to me, that's a substantial amount of money, what they call compensation and pension. Some other numbers, education last year for the veterans on a GI Bill was just over $4.5 million. was paid into Lebanon County for those veterans to go use their education benefits. The VA Medical Center for new construction was just over $17.5 million for new construction at the VA, $17.5 million. Also, the VA healthcare system as a whole, for their employees, etc., was just over $62 million at the Lebanon VA. So the total expenses for the Lebanon County that come in from the federal government for compensation, pension for injuries, education, medical center is just over $121 million annually, which is quite a bit of money. Quite a bit of money. Compensation and pension is a big part of what I do at our office. Compensation being those veterans getting out of the military and claiming injuries that happened to them while they were in service, or those veterans who develop injuries later, or chronic injuries, and want to claim them at a later date, we do that. And also the pensions, which are primarily for veterans, war veterans, dates of service during wartime, that have exceedingly high medical expenses. In-home care, assisted living, nursing home, we can get those veterans and widows of those veterans compensation from the VA, nursing homes, assisted living. So a lot of my time is dealt with doing those compensation and pension awards. So that's what the bulk of my time is done, getting those claims approved, submitted and approved. Today, submitting a claim to the VA and the federal government down in the Philadelphia regional office will take approximately 1 year from start to finish to they're approved or denied. 1 year, which is a lot of time. Compensation and pension is the biggest part of the office, but of course then again we do have other benefits from the federal and the state and the county that I perform on a daily basis. One thing that I'm currently doing now is we have to keep a database of every deceased war veteran in the county, going back to the Revolutionary War till today. Where are those veterans buried? What cemetery in Lebanon County? If they were to pass away in Lebanon County and get buried in, let's say, Lehigh County, I need to submit information to Lehigh County to let them know that this veteran is now buried in our county, and with all his war information, dates of service, etc. So we keep track of all those veterans. I'm currently in the process of taking all those cards, those 5x8 cards, and I have a software program now that our information management systems came up with, and we're putting those all online, all those cards online. So currently I'm keying those in as I get the opportunity. Tag, I'm the only one in my office. I'm currently up to letter P, so I still have a ways to go. So hopefully by the end of this year, no matter how far along I am in that system, I'm going to get that on my website, so people can look at going back from A to P currently and do some research on relatives, friends. And of course, all the veterans who are passing away today, those are automatically going in the system as I receive it, and they're going in and getting keyed in that system. That's pretty much my office in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them, whether they're federal, they're state, or county VA questions. I'd be happy to entertain them.
Yeah, as for the municipality question, I guess you talked about the taxes and the veterans. Who makes the decision? Or I know of a veteran who is not paying taxes anymore, but he won multi-million dollars in a lottery.
I know that gentleman who you're talking about. What the state looks at, they go by, when you make the application, they look at prior year income. So if a veteran wins that multi-million dollars today, they want to know what was your income and assets in 2013. The veteran needs to submit, of course, a copy of his 214 to show his wartime dates, his rating decision that shows he's 100%, and then they also need his prior year taxes, 1040, with all supporting documents, W-2s, 1099s. Well, if the veteran won that money or received that compensation or winnings in 2014, let's say, it's not going to show up for 2013. So yeah, the state...
This guy didn't buy his house until after he won the money.
Right.
So.
But they still go back to prior year.
Yeah.
Now that veteran is exempt for 5 years.
Just 5
so he has 5 years. Then he has to renew. Okay. He has to renew in 5 years. So he may get dropped off. He may not. He's going to be buying his children houses in Florida, which those are, I'm pretty sure I know the person you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I said, I don't agree with the state's rulings. Their definition of wartime service and mine differ, but they're the one who interpret the law, which is part of the Constitution with property tax exemption. When I'm reading this and it goes back to 1860s, I'm thinking the guy that got on a plank board with 2 wooden little cups going down the porch who got injured in Civil War, who's 100%, that's the person I think the Commonwealth was looking at. They get tax exempt those injuries were from combat and not as a result of something else. So, but that's my opinion, and that's not the state's opinion. Other questions?
If I have a service number for an individual, can we locate it?
It's a good possibility, either through the VA. If he's receiving compensation from the VA, you can write a letter to the VA in Philadelphia, the VA regional office, and request that they locate this person via the serial number, and then finish the self-addressed envelope that you have with a veteran's name on it. They can finish the address if they have it in him or her in their system and forward that letter on. The VA can access records of veterans in their database either by social, serial number, that those two numbers in, and it'll bring up. So if the veteran's receiving any comp or ever made a claim, they'll have an address. Whether it's still good or not is a different story. But they can forward a letter on. Same with the folks who are retired military. You can send that to Defense Finance and Accounting, and they'll forward the letters on to veterans who are retired military if you're trying to locate somebody. Well, I appreciate you having me here today.
Thank you for your job.
You're welcome.